All right, Dieter's in the house. It's the Krug Show on a Monday night, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. I hit a 2-team parlay, and I'm feeling good. All right, is that a good intro? That's not a good intro.
Well, it's your show, Larry. You do whatever the hell you want, buddy.
Well,
you're.
He is correct about that, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Krug Show. Like it, love it, hate it, whatever. We're here.
Just watch it. Just watch it. 2-team Larry.
Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm on a betting roll. I had Spain. I never doubted Spain. Never doubted Spain.
Do you think when they were up 20-0 on shots, you were feeling comfortable?
Who's my man that took one straight off the head?
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think
it was 6. Yeah, just right off the schnoz. That thing had to have. I'm surprised it didn't explode.
Oh my!
And they say soccer players
ain't
tough.
Messi at point blank range off that guy's melon, and he wore it. So I took Spain because I'm watching the preview. Saturday they're on the post game of the consolation game, which was a great game if you're in America because it was just open wheeling. It was like the old Pro Bowl. Yeah, it was like the old NBA All-Star game.
Yeah,
it was loose and fast, and in some ways that might be the soccer that America really prefers, to be honest. But whatever, it was emotional, it was fun, and I'm watching the post game because I want to get their thoughts on Argentina, Spain, of course, right? Yeah. And I do find it so entertaining how much Alexi Lawless just gets slapped down by Thierry Henry and the other guys, Zlatan
Ibrahimovic, two of the greatest strikers of all time. And
those guys don't respect that guy at all. No, when he talks, they're kind of like this.
Yeah, it's like when you have me on.
They're kind of off to the side.
Yeah,
they're not. It's like it's awesome too because nobody told those guys, hey, by the way, this is TV. Carry it out. You guys are all for one for all. This is how we do it. They're too authentic, especially in the post game. And Thierry Henry gives Alexi Lawless that look like, what are you even doing here? What could you add to this mix? I mean,
some big little brother energy. Like, who brought their little brother and now he has to hang out with us all day? Thanks a lot for that.
They never affirm any of his takes ever. No. They always were kind of like, back to you, host. So that I thought that was funny. But so I took Spain. I'm feeling good. I had England on Saturday. That was good. I knew France was going to fold big time. I was shocked that they came back in the second half.
Yeah.
So I took England, winner. Took Spain because they had 4 people on the post game Saturday predicting the finals, and they talked so many great things about Messi this and Argentina and the last minutes, and if it's a shootout, it's all this Argentina. And then all of a sudden, all right, let's make our picks. There was 4 of them. 3 of them took Spain.
Yeah.
So I'm like, then, I looked up the pre-tournament odds, and Spain was the pre-tournament favorite to win the whole thing.
Along with France.
Along with who? France.
Yeah.
And I loved what I saw from Spain this whole tournament as far as their energy, their defense.
They were boring, but they were good.
They snuff people out, and they're just great. And they're playing at a really high level and all this passion. And it's, really, really amazing. And they
just whooped France's ass.
Yeah. They crushed Argentina. Would Argentina have won in the shootout?
No, because you saw how emotional they got after the game where they just started picking fights. Like Messi would have scored and then everyone else would have been an absolute wreck. And it's not to say that, Spain wouldn't have had their moments there too, but like at some point the temperament was such to where, Spain messes around. That's the issue with Spain. Like if they would actually just shoot it instead of passing it for 7 more times every now and again, I don't know, it might go in. They should win most of their games 5-0. Now that the tournament's over, they should have won most of their games 4-5-0, but they just didn't have that killer. They didn't have that absolute ace striker. They didn't have a Zlatan Ibrahimovic or a Thierry Henry or a Erling Haaland or anybody like that. But they just control the ball so well. The unbelievable team goals. Defense was stout as hell. Paul Gubesi was unbelievable in the tournament.
I mean,
And
teams
they
didn't even. How good was their goalie? It was like their defense was so great.
There was actually a legitimate
the goalie wasn't
question.
even that much of a factor for
it
them.
was a legitimate question. I can't recall the game where they gave up a goal because they had 7 clean sheets in the tournament. But you're like, is this goalie actually any good, or has he just not been tested? I think Spain would have won that. It's just hard to believe that you can dominate that long and not have a mental advantage going into, the chaos that is then a penalty shootout. I mean, maybe it all flips. I don't know. Luckily, we didn't have to see it.
Did you drop soccer lingo on me?
Yes.
White sheets.
Clean. It's called a clean sheet. Thank you.
Clean sheet.
A white sheet is something much, much worse.
Clean sheet.
Okay. A clean sheet. That means no goals allowed.
Spoiled sheets.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of spoiled sheets in that England-France game. Yeah, clean sheet. I'm surprised actually clean sheet doesn't apply to hockey. But it doesn't. No, well, I mean, you could say it, people would know, but it's strictly a soccer term. Much like brace for 2 goals. You're on a brace right now.
I love the World Cup. It was fantastic. So I win Saturday with England. I win Sunday with Spain. Tonight, you know what? I was thinking, do I go with the Giants? Do I go with I can't, the
Why
Giants
would you do that?
The Giants are more of a bet against.
You think?
But then it's bad karma. It's like to me, it's a bad karma thing because I root for the Giants. Yeah. So when I don't have money on the opponent, I'm rooting for the Giants. So it's but they're sometimes oddly good in these first games, but it was also ridiculously hot in Kansas City, and
Bucko 7
the
today.
pitcher I think is kind of hitting his ceiling. Sure enough, he got injured.
Yeah.
So I wasn't feeling too good about that. So I just stayed away from the Giants. I went Nationals, best team on the road in Denver.
Wow. We might need you to call the hotline, buddy. You're betting on Washington.
I went Nationals on the road against the Rockies in a 2-teamer with the Red Sox, who just continued to win.
What is it, 14 now?
14 in a row and 19 of 21. This is since I was there.
Yeah, there was well, first off, the
I did
reverse curse. It's the curse of Larry. They can't stop winning.
I stopped by Fenway.
Yeah.
They've gone on a roll.
Well, it's
I did a video. I did a live stream in Fenway. They're now unbeatable.
Listen, people are saying, I don't know what these streets in Boston are yelling. I'll check in. My sister lives in Boston. She's like, you got to get Krueger back here, or don't bring him back here. Don't do anything. It's so funny because there was a point when we talked Giants on the leader, and it's like, man, 2 teams that are kind of in the exact same spot. And this was a couple weeks ago. The Red Sox and the Giants, kind of big market teams, but the secondary team, right, to the big name, Dodgers and Yankees, respectively. And both of them have owners that are kind of aloof and, generally try to game it so that they save a little bit of money, but then they want to make sure that everyone knows they're spending money. And they're just very similar teams. And then I go, except here's the difference between the 2 of them. The Red Sox actually have a chance to turn their season around, whereas there's no reason at all to believe that the San Francisco Giants are going to go on some sort of a run. And wouldn't fate have it? That's the bet I should have put down, Larry. I should have just said that the Red Sox were going to finish above 500 and the Giants aren't even going to come sniffing 500. They wish they could get to 500. That would be unbelievable at this point.
I'm staying away from the Giants. I'm staying away from the Giants the rest of the year. I'm kind of staying away from the A's too. I think they were coming back tonight against the Diamondbacks.
What was it? 10? It was 10 in a row they lost, and then I saw
fired their pitching coach. They weren't scoring runs.
Scott Emerson couldn't get the job done. I feel bad for Scott. I like Scott. They realized that he's the pitching coach of a team that made really bad pitching decisions and also plays their home games at a minor league ballpark in Sacramento, California, right? Like they're aware that that's not helpful for pitching, that having one
playing
deck
in a barn
stands in 110 degrees of heat at night might allow the ball to travel pretty far. Just a concept.
Yeah.
But, Scott's got to wear that one now. Fun. Awesome stuff.
This has all been a prelude to our Niner discussion. Welcome to the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville, Corte Madera, soon to open in Petaluma. Also, Krueger Show brought to you by Prize Picks. We'll do a lineup later on. And Novato Chevrolet. Check them out, novatochevrolet.com.
What's this? What am I reading here? What is this nonsense? Are you guys? Did someone in the comments suggest that Yamal is the best striker in the world? Because it sure as hell wasn't me.
Is he? Yeah, no, I don't. Nobody said that, but I thought I wanted to put that up there because that seems like
What
a pretty.
the
This guy's
hell are you
sounds like a pretty
talking
strong
about?
statement there.
Yeah, who said that? They don't have a striker. That's the whole reason why they didn't score 3 goals a game, and every game was just a root canal of precision, right? It was absolutely beautiful soccer that resulted in no exuberance at all. Just brutal root canal football games, and then you have to feel uncultured having watched them, and pretend as if it wasn't, let's be honest, boring. So I love soccer as much as anything in the world. And even I'm like watching Spain, and I'm like, if Rodri makes another sideways pass, I'm gonna turn on something else. Like I never got more use out of the goddamn quad box than when Spain was playing. I mean, I got a lot of side projects done during Spain games because you just didn't have to watch all that much. They had the ball the whole time and they didn't score any goals.
No, but it was uniquely awesome though in its own right.
No, it's great. I mean, miss it already.
World class. I'll say this: I love the event. I thought it was great. I thought America was a fantastic host, and I think lots and lots of people came here and they heard about America, but now they saw America firsthand. And they're going to go home and they're going to
rascal scooters.
They're going to go home and say that place kicked ass, and those people were really great. And unless they were in Miami for sitting outside sweating, I mean, could you imagine some of the
or anywhere in the Northeast where it was 100? Houston's got the roof.
Yeah, okay. Houston's got a roof, but anywhere outside in the humidity is just like, welcome to our country. Here is Atlanta.
It's
like,
cool roof there too. They couldn't open it, and they couldn't get rid of the Mercedes-Benz logo on it, so they're like, you can just keep it. Whereas everyone else had
the thing about it, they totally lucked out. Because if the World Cup had been played on Saturday, it downpoured in the late afternoon, and it probably would have downpoured at the end of that game
in New York.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
24 hours before, it was an unbelievable downpour. You see that a lot in the Northeast.
It looked sweaty. It looked sweaty.
It was not, the weather was good. The weather was good. All right, let's talk a little 49ers.
Cool.
The most important thing to watch at Niner training camp this year is what?
I kind of have a weird one here, Larry.
Okay. I gave you so this
you gave me a lot. I appreciate it.
I gave Dieter the pregame notes.
I never asked.
So this should be a better show than normal.
Well, or not. Sometimes I can overthink it, Larry.
Dieter could be on some crazy drugs and let's bouncing back from a trip with the family. He could be off. He could be off his game.
I was in Palm Springs with the wife, who is Scottish and has years of residual cold that she needs to get out. So we were in Palm Springs where it was 117 degrees. And you know what? Legitimately, if you're in the shade and you sit in a pool, pretty awesome. So I read like 5 books.
Wait. Palm Springs is an awesome place.
No, Palm Springs is fantastic.
For Christmas.
No.
It's an awesome place around the holidays because it's like 75, 80 degrees.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Palm Springs in July?
Yeah,
the people who live there would love to get out of there in July. I mean, 118.
I tried to go to a restaurant that was like pretty highly recommended by.
Was it really 118?
Yeah, it got up to 118 one day.
118?
Yeah.
I was walking off the plane.
In Kansas City. I mean,
it was 93 at 11 o'clock at night in Arizona when we were traveling back east, and I just felt that outside, and I was like, God, 93 degrees at 11 o'clock at night.
I'll tell you what you can get. You can get some sweet ass hotels for credit card points that would be normally unavailable, and then so we stayed at like a crazy swanky spot, which was awesome, and just for nothing. And we had a huge umbrella over us. We literally were in like a lounger in a pool. So we're just submerged and reading books, and it's hot, but not like crazy because you're not in the sun. And it was great. We didn't do anything.
Little family time, little pool time, little water time.
My children were here with the grandparents and nowhere near us. And I was able to read so much, which was great. That's not the point, Larry. The point is that I think Mike Evans is the most interesting thing to watch at 49ers training camp. And I feel like you and I can get very eccentric, very in the weeds with this, and I'm certain we will. But at a certain point, it almost feels as if Mike Evans is here and has already been taken for granted in some sort of a way, because you and I both lay eyes on him, as the other media members did, and went like, oh yeah, that guy's good during OTAs and minicamp. And so it's like, yeah, that should just work. But maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I will say this: the Niners didn't have an X receiver last year, not one that could command the attention and shift a safety the way that a Brandon Ayuk could back in the day before his injury. And whatever's happened since then, I don't know. I haven't checked in on that at all. I'm sure he's doing great. And then certainly what Mike Evans theoretically can do if he's healthy out there. And for an offense that, when you watch the end of last season, as I, a terrible sick person, did today, went through all of Brock's throws for the last couple of weeks of the campaign, it's a fundamentally different offense than I think people presume, with outside zone runs and McCaffrey. When it was clear that McCaffrey was never going to really get anything on the ground and Brock comes back, they let that thing rip. And it was a lot of 4 and 5 wide sets, and sure, it was tight splits, but there were a lot of guys out in routes, in formation, and having somebody who is a honest to God threat that demands safety help, I think could open things up in a way that I don't know we've seen, because I don't know if we'll see. I don't think we have seen a 49ers offense this open and perhaps this talented at wide receiver, but it is entirely dependent on Mike Evans looking like vintage Mike Evans, and that chemistry getting established immediately, taking whatever they had in minicamp and OTAs and expanding on that in a big way, to where Brock can throw to Mike Evans with his eyes closed and know, one, it's going to get caught, which you should presume it's Mike Evans, but two, like, he's going to be where he needs to be. And that's going to be further down the field than I think people get. If Brock is going to have the season that I think Brock could have, and I do think this could be his best statistical season, and a lot's going to be on his shoulders, perhaps more than ever is going to be on his shoulders this year. I need to see early returns with Mike Evans. I need to see the sort of immediate payoff, because a great X receiver and a Kyle Shanahan offense can be a cheat code, especially in an offense that I think is going to air it out more than ever this year.
This should be an epic year for the offense, but then Kittle is such a key cog, and his status is so unknown. And that's the part that I can't get around talking about this offense. If they had a second tight end that was like a George type player, who's not George that good, but as far as he was a complete player, he could block, catch, the whole thing, then I think I'd feel better about their situation. Tonjes is a really good receiver, but I think this is maybe the best weaponry that Brock's had, and this is the best that Brock should be, right? He's healthy, he's in the prime of his career, and he's got a deep backfield, he's got a line that has continuity, and he's got a lot more weapons, but there are questions. Mike Evans is coming off a 30-touch season. Is that the beginning of the end of Mike Evans? And the Niners are getting him a year too late, and they're going to force him the ball and create all these negative plays, forcing him the ball in the first half of the year?
Good question.
That, to me, they're going to try to get him going in the red zone, and the defenses, guess what? They also know that.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got all these other speedy weapons. There's the old saying, it's not the way you scheme the play, it's the way you play the scheme. Well, I think the scheme's going to not change as dramatically as the players. And now the players, I think, are going to play the same scheme differently. And I think, can Shanahan adjust to that? Can we get can they block it enough to get deep? They've got the kinds of receivers that this could be a very, very explosive offense. If let's just say it's unlikely to happen, Dieter, but you're a personnel guy. You do your own draft guide. You know the way personnel game works. Sometimes first-year guys come through. Sometimes second-year guys come through. Sometimes third-year guys come through. If the 49ers get to camp and it just so happens that Pearsall blossoms and Jordan Watkins blossoms and Jacob Cowing blossoms, and then all of a sudden they show up and there's one of these undrafted guys between Grimes and Pauling looks really good, and Deshaun Stribling's really precocious and ready to roll. This could be an electric, down the field, big play, high scoring passing attack. And in some ways, I hope Shanahan sees that and lets it all hang out, because I think they've got space creators and big plays waiting to happen all over this offense, at running back, at tight end, at wide receiver. He's got an array of playmakers he's never had here before as far as speed. And
totally.
And I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. To me, this is probably the most exciting part of the season, is seeing this offensive speed come to fruition in a scheme that we know works.
I mean, there's also the domino effect on if Evans is Evans, right? The kind of classic Mike Evans, the one that we saw in Tampa all those years and not what we saw last year. Well, now Pearsall's at Z, and that's where he always should have been. That's what he was originally drafted to play. And going through, the Pearsall tape at the end of last season, I mean, he was kicking some ass. It's not as crisp as maybe I remember in terms of the route running, but he had a knack. He had a real knack for getting himself open, and didn't work out in the long run because of the PCL injury and such. But playing him at Z and being able to move him around more in the formation was the idea behind Pearsall. So now that can elevate his game beyond what it was, because there was a lot of plays where he was playing as the X and he was playing as a clear out guy so that Jawan Jennings can get that little, 8-9 yard out underneath. And that was, the bread and butter of their offense. But Jennings can't get that on his own, and he's sure as hell not bringing safety help over the top if he's running a clear out route. So they sacrificed Pearsall a lot last year when he was healthy. Now he's not in the sacrificial role, which Evans in many ways would be as a classic X receiver. He can still clear out with the best of them because he still demands that safety help, lest they throw, 50-50 ball down the sidelines. Mike Evans is coming down with that, more often than not. So now Pearsall's at the Z. You can move him around the formation. And I remember back in Pearsall's rookie year when Debo started to really fall off the wagon a little bit and was not as effective anymore, you had Pearsall coming in and they would use him in the backfield. They gave Pearsall a couple carries, I think, if I remember correctly. Like, they wanted to use him in that regard. Now, his body has not held up to that level of usage, to be fair, but having him move around with his ability to cut on routes and such, that's good stuff. But then you just talk about the backups and you just kind of listed out through them. But okay, Jordan Watkins, if he comes through, he's a backup at X. You got Christian Kirk as a backup to Pearsall. Is it Pearsall? No, but Christian Kirk's a good player. You're not losing that much. You're losing the upside, but in terms of what you can expect, that floor, Christian Kirk is still right there and can be very productive as a Z receiver. And then what I'm interested to see is how many 3 wide receiver sets that they're in and how much the personnel is dictated by down and distance, because I think DeJon Stribling is coming in and taking on the classic third and DeJon role now, in that he's a big-bodied receiver, kind of can get to his spot, box you out if he has to. That's the kind of thing they drafted him for, a more athletic Jawan Jennings type, hell of a blocker in line. That's a role that I can see as a rookie him thriving in. But then there is also, the possibility of Demarcus Robinson as a third receiver in some sort of a set and bringing Pearsall in to the slot, or having Cowing break through in that role, or Pauling, or there's good options here, and they're going to have to cut a good receiver or two. But it will be interesting to see with personnel, especially too, so many teams around the league trying to get as many tight ends on the field. Do the Niners go the opposite direction? And after being 21 personnel, or this kind of quasi 12 thing that they did with Kyle Juszczyk, are they now more of an 11 personnel team, which is very out of style? And no, we could never do that. Sean McVay is on to 13. He's on to weirder and more exotic things. And here's Kyle Shanahan, who is eschewed 11 personnel outside of third down for most of his career. And now he's the 11 personnel guy. That's the kind of stuff that I don't know if we'll get a lot, but we might get some breadcrumbs of in training camp. And I'm fascinated to see it, because Kyle does need to evolve this thing a little bit. It's pretty clear that Christian McCaffrey does not have the same juice that he did. You cannot expect him to go out there and get that many touches and somehow be more productive in that regard. I know the line should block better for him, all these things. I just don't think the juice is in the legs anymore. And he's still an extremely productive back. He's still incredibly important to what it is they want to do. But expecting him to be an MVP caliber player as a bell cow, I think, is preposterous. And you have other options that you can play a little bit more with in the backfield while young. They drafted him, so hopefully they think that they can play inside of their system. It wouldn't shock me at all if that come week 4 or 5, we're like, man, Niners play a lot of 11 personnel, don't they? And it's not because they're losing. It's because that's the way to get their best players on the field. One tight end, not having to mess around with the fact that, frankly, they only have one tight end. And that one tight end who's on the field might not even be the one tight end that they really have. If we're
going to be juice.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
it's going to be 11 personnel with juice.
Yeah. And it might be a 20 personnel that pivots to 11 as opposed to the 12 to 21 that they had been doing. So I'm fascinated to see how that works out and kind of where Kyle goes, because Brock was a quarterback who did a lot of pro style stuff in college, but was a ripper, right? Like, this is a guy who ripped the ball all over the field, and it was to his detriment in his draft stock, but it was necessary for Iowa State, which was an extremely pragmatic program. And we're going to see that manifest with Matt Campbell at Penn State this year. I think that Kyle's going to let this guy rip it. I think that he's got the X receiver. That's fundamental to letting his quarterback air it out sort of attack. I think that they had that in 23 with Ayuk. Mike Evans we'll see, but if Mike Evans is at his best, he's better than Ayuk ever was. And I think that we could really see some big numbers in the passing game where the running game becomes more complementary and perhaps even more dynamic, because it's not the load-bearing wall of this offense anymore.
I mean, they just have to – Brock's got to be smart with the football.
Yeah.
Evans is going to get lots and lots of coverage. They're going to look to take him away in the red zone. And so maybe they're going to have to use Evans a little bit as a decoy at times. And he's probably one of the best in the biz. The cool thing is that Brock is the kind of quarterback, I think, that if given a receiver that's at his marks when he's supposed to be there, he's going to be able to kind of pick some teams apart, even at a high level, even in big games. And that's what I'm most excited about, because you got to beat the best teams. Yeah. And I think Mike Evans will help you beat the best teams by scoring touchdowns over field goals in the red zone.
Huge.
My big thing, the most important thing to watch, 49er training camp. I'm going to say, and I tweeted about this earlier this week, and I'll just share the screen. So I don't have to
pull up the tweet.
Yeah, I'll pull up my own tweet. I saw this on Twitter, a brilliant lad.
Whoever the sports Larry KMBR guy, he's got to figure it out.
He was retweeting Coach Yak's Jalen Carter. Look at this awesome Jalen Carter trade. I kept it on, so you can't see it. It's Jalen Carter to the Niners 4.
Okay.
McKellen a 4th.
Keep going. I can't see it. You got to scroll down. There we go. And on what planet is that trade happening?
Well, I'm just saying.
Because it ain't Earth.
Would you make that trade?
Yeah, I'd make that trade.
If you were the Niners?
Yeah, Jalen Carter.
A lot of people, the responses I got, Dieter, were, hey, this is a guy who plays the run well. He's a good guy.
Oh, buddy, you don't need to tell me about Michael Williams.
And you're trading for a tackle, and this guy's got problems and this and that.
Oh, he does.
But he does. This goes to the heart of my point. Before we go any further, let me just show you my point. I said the biggest unknown factor at this point is Raheem Morris. How does he feel about the young defensive players that he's inheriting?
Mm-hmm.
He may love them, but he may not. He didn't draft them, so they're not, quote unquote, his guys. To me, the biggest wild card factor for the Niners entering camp is Raheem's player evaluations.
Yeah.
It's a total unknown. He's the head coach of the Niner defense. He's likely to rank, rate, and play his players differently than Robert Saleh did. So stay tuned. And to me, that is the biggest story on the defensive side. There's questions, individual questions, free safety and linebacker and defense.
Oh, yeah.
There's some other questions.
Weak side's a big question.
But really, it's mostly about Raheem, because Raheem obviously can adapt to his personnel, but then there's guys that he likes. He doesn't like the big behemoth, zero technique, one technique, just sit in the hole, super big. Alfred Collins. Historically,
Historically,
he likes penetrators inside.
Right.
And I don't know if he liked Jalen Walker and James Pierce. Does he like Mikael Williams? Does he like Sam O? Does he like the guys that he inherited? I asked him at the end of minicamp, hey, who stood out to you? Just because I'm trying to get something out of him. And he named a bunch of guys, and I don't even remember who exactly it was. I'd have to go look it up. But the question that I wanted to ask is, who doesn't fit?
Right.
You just inherited 3 drafts worth of young players. They're largely unproven, and they're built for a scheme that's not quite your scheme. You're not a 3-4 guy. You're not a 4-3 guy. You're morphed into a 5-man front, kind of gap and a half type situation up front.
Right.
And he likes kind of hybrid players. Those are movement players. So to me, that's the big wild card. I know it's a little football esoteric.
No, I like it.
But and I'm going to let you, before you go ahead, fire away what you think.
Well,
because
it's
Greg Cosell weighed in on this as well. And I'll let you hear this. But I mean, do you want to hear Cosell first?
No, I'll say my piece on Mikel. Like, if that's the trade, and I don't, it's hypothetical to its T. I think Mikel's a really wonderful player, and I'll still buy all the Mikel stock because he's young and he's uber talented, and the ability against the run from day one is really, really impressive. But it's fair to question if there's a ceiling where he is both someone who is a plus pass rusher and an elite run stopper, and playing as a 5 technique who really gets his pass rushing ability from 3 technique. That's a pretty specific thing. Whereas Jalen Carter, we know, is an elite player in the here and now. There's a lot of other stuff going on there, but he is an elite player in the here and now.
Didn't look good against the Niners in the playoffs, I'll say that.
I mean, he's an exceptional football player. And the only reason that they might trade him is because they had another exceptional football player who's not as good as Jalen Carter, for what it's worth, next to him. And then also, he's going to need a lot of money. So they paid one, and they can't pay the other. So why would they trade him? They would trade him because they can't pay both at defensive tackle. And Howie Roseman knows that's the name of the game. It would hurt me, but like a 4th and Mikel is more than a fair trade if you're going to give the money to Jalen Carter. So that's, you got to give up something to get something, and that's a hell of a football player coming the other way. A fundamental, we start our game plan with dealing with him sort of football player. And as much as I enjoy Mikel Williams and am bullish about Mikel Williams, he ain't that, and he might never be that. So what are we trying to do here?
There's so many unknowns with Raheem. And it's like, who's he going to like? And to me, that's a big part of this. It's like, does he like? We know KJ Wright loves Jaden Duggar, but how do they feel about Nick Martin? How do they feel about Larry Worth? How do they feel about a lot of different guys? I mean, CJ West, Alfred Collins, Mikael Williams. I think they probably love Upton Stout. Who doesn't love Upton Stout? But corner wise, they brought in Jack Jones. Jack Jones is a high risk, high reward, man-to-man corner who the Niners have gone for zone guys, but Raheem likes to blitz, and typically you play man behind blitz. And so you're talking about a team that likes to maybe get guys who can play more man-to-man, and Jack Jones on paper maybe doesn't have a role in this team, but like a guy like Jack Jones and a guy like Darrell Luter, they're better in man-to-man.
Right.
I think it really favors them, and I think it's gonna be interesting to see.
Luter, but
I think it's gonna. Well, Luter played a ton of man in college. He's played nothing but zone.
The restraining order. Yeah, I mean, he can't play much worse zone, so maybe some man would be good for him, because I can't stand watching him play zone anymore.
I agree. I kind of agree. He's very passive in the zone.
Just back up, back up, back up. You're never getting past me, baby.
Yeah, he doesn't give up big plays, but what he does is give up receptions, and and it's like he sometimes his down and distance, is not like he's allowing a 7-yard reception on 3rd and 9, and it's like then you're going to try to rally up and make this amazing tackle to keep the guy from the first down. How about play him a little tighter and contest the pass, and then you don't have to let him, then you don't have to bring him down in the open field. I mean, it's just,
Right.
so things like that. But which of the Niner players that Raheem inherited, give me one that you predict not going to be his guy, and give me one that you predict is absolutely going to be his guy.
That's a great
question.
question.
And the advantage is anybody that they just picked up this year, it's safe to say is his guy.
Yeah.
Because
definitively
they are. But I'm talking about of the guys that he inherited.
Yeah, I think
there's a big name guy that maybe isn't his guy.
Yeah. I don't know if CJ West is going to be his guy. We'll see. 5-man front, you can play some 2 technique, you can play some 0, and maybe West has the advantage there as opposed to Collins. Collins has enough pop when he's right, which he has never been. He has enough pop when he's right to where it's like, man, any coach is going to be in on that. He's huge and has good explosion. It's a concept for now, whereas CJ West is kind of just a lean, well, he's definitely not lean. He's just a tactician, right? He's a brawler. He's someone who just wins the rep and you can't really explain why. It's not the Raheem Morris that I know. Raheem Morris likes to be able to point exactly as to why that guy's ass got kicked, as opposed to just like, yeah, that was good. He grinded it out. Like Raheem Morris is, for better or for worse, typically about kind of the pop and the flash and the explosion and, kind of live on the edge. So I'd go with CJ West out of all of them. I have no idea what they want to do when it comes to linebacker, because either he really likes Nick Martin, in which case a very strange decision to then go with Worth and Duggar, who are not Nick Martin, right? And these are all theoretically Sam linebackers or guys who are competing for Sam linebacker snaps with Dre Greenlaw. Sure, there's some, but Nick Martin's a 3rd-round pick. He shouldn't just be a backup weak side linebacker. He should also be able to play some Sam. So there's a juxtaposition there that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. He either likes this kind or he likes the other. I'm not sure that he's trying to go for, like the ultimate bullpen where it's like, oh, we got a guy who throws from the top and a guy who throws from the bottom. Like, it's not really how this works. Not in a scheme. So fascinated to see there. And then I'll tell you this, the first name that came to mind, and we'll just go, Renardo Green better be his guy. Raheem Morris better go to bed every night thinking, man, how do I get Renardo Green to be the best Renardo Green? Because, and certainly Raheem thinks that, because
he played a lot of man-to-man at Florida State.
Yes, he did. And he has the ability to be a damn good corner. He's got to remember the plays, and they throw a lot on him. Now, we're now talking about a situation where Renardo Green's limitations were not physical, they were mental, unquestionably. You ask anybody, they were overt on television, they were overt in person, and they were overt anytime you talk to anybody about it. He couldn't remember the plays. He messed up assignments. You saw Shanahan reaming into him. That was a manifestation of this happening all the time. And now you're bringing in someone who's going to throw at you fire zones and a lot of blitzes and exotic fronts. My knock on Robert Saleh is he stopped trying to do those things. A credit to him in some ways, because he knew that Renardo Green couldn't handle a lot of the responsibility that comes on the back end, particularly on the strong side against a number one receiver, couldn't handle that responsibility as a corner if you're bringing exotic stuff at the line of scrimmage, that it had to be simpler for him. And now here we're going to get even more bespoke and more interesting and more exotic. Renardo Green is either going to be a longtime 49er or completely out of a job in Santa Clara by the time Halloween rolls around. Like, there's just no two ways about it. He either has got it or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, he is gone. He's sitting on the bench and he's on the first train out, either at the trade deadline or in the off season as some sort of a trade, because you can't do this 2 years in a row. You can't have it 2 years in a row where the guy in a cover 6 league now can't run cover 6 because it's too complicated. Can't do it. So it's on Renardo, man, first and foremost, but
you're not on scholarship anymore.
No.
You're not on scholarship. They don't have to keep you. All right. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of pro sports. It's a
works out,
meritocracy. I think he's their
beautiful.
best talent
Yes.
at corner. I really do, and
No question.
I think he's got the ability to step up and be very, very good. I like him, and I think he'll play well. Raheem gets the most
I'm
out of his
hoping for him.
guys.
Yeah.
I think I feel good about him. I feel
Good.
really good about the the corner group
Yeah. They got some depth there.
overall. But there's the one that to me is really interesting is Prysock, just because of the size and the length.
Yeah, good call.
If he can play right away, wow, that's a major get, because that's a huge long corner. So I think I like the corner situation. If I had to say who's not a Raheem guy, I would say Evan Anderson. He's just
no question out.
He doesn't play.
No pop.
Doesn't have any kind of up the field pass rush, and he's just not a Raheem guy, and he's on this depth chart. So I could see him kind of being pushed to the side. And then whoever what kind of pass rush does Sam Aquinu and Cam Sample provide? Whoever provides the most pass rush there, I think that's going to be an interesting little battle there. And even though they signed Sample, they didn't give him significant money. And I think the big debate that you may see get really, really, volatile, we will never see it, of course, is going to be between the special teams coach Boyer and Raheem on game day on Gifford versus a younger, faster guy. Who's because Raheem's going to look 100%. At Greenlaw and Warner and go, you know what? I'm not sure if I can get through the game with those older guys. I'm going to have that extra inside player, and it can't be a special teamer. Gifford's film from scrimmage is
awful. You call it what it is. It's awful.
I mean, it's awful compared to what you hope to get from Duggar, Worth, Martin.
If any of those three guys goes out there and gives you that tape, you're saying, I don't think they should play him anymore, and I don't know, this guy's a bust. But the only argument you can make is, they're young, they're figuring it out. This is a guy who's gotten paid, who, by the way, it should be noted, is very, very good at special teams.
He's a special team Pro Bowler,
stunningly good at special teams. But you have him, you have who's his
Wallow.
You got and then one more. I mean, who is Saran Neal?
Graham.
You got Saran
Neal. Saran Neal's a special teams ace.
No one knows what position he plays from scrimmage, because anytime they might actually have to play him at a position, actually no, he's a corner now. Just move it around. It's like a phony job where
they list him as like the third string nickel.
Yeah, right. And last year he was a safety, and then it's like a couple safeties get injured, and they're like, no, he was always a corner on our depth chart. And then a couple corners get injured. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's a nickelback and he's nothing more.
Professional special teamer.
And he's damn good at it. Again, to be very clear, I have no knock on these guys for what it is they do. But again, you have to give something from scrimmage, because especially if you play for the San Francisco 49ers, injuries are going to happen and you're going to get called upon. And every team that went up against the 49ers last year when they were playing Luke Gifford at Sam was like, fresh meat, baby. Let's boogie. We're running left. And we're running left until they get this guy off the field. So, fascinated to see. There's a lot of weirdness with linebacker. This year, Lair. You got these two small forwards coming in as rookies. They're going to be fighting for a spot. One was drafted, one wasn't. You got Martin having to figure out what it is he is in this system, both as a weak side guy and perhaps playing Sam. Romello Height is in that mix in a weird way, because he's a designated pass rusher who would line up as a Sam. You got Gifford, Tatum Bethune, who played well, but not great at the end, well enough to stay in the NFL, but not better than Hendricks did at the end of the season. So it's Hendricks did at the end of the season. So it's oh my God, there. A lot of weirdness at linebacker. And then the thing that we kind of haven't talked about, I don't think at least you and I haven't, and in my conversations, it doesn't come up that much. Do we know if Dre Greenlaw is any good anymore? Does he have anything left in the tank? Because I know that they're not paying him like they would have paid him a year and a half ago, but
he looked damn good in the playoffs.
Okay. Just saying.
But the question, no, it's a fair question. The question is how many games he plays to a level of violence that I think he can play 3 or 4 games before.
Jeez, yeah.
I think he can give you 3 or 4 awesome games And then I think he'll have some kind of an injury, and then he might be able to come back and give you two or three more awesome games. Before we talk more about that, let me play the Cosell.
Oh, that'd
Raheem.
be great. Yeah.
Here's Cosell and Raheem, and we can, if you give your thought on this would be pretty good. Greg Cosell. Raheem Morris is the big change, Greg, and you know, he's thought to be kind of a chameleon. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about what you think the Niners defense could look like this year, transitioning from Robert Saleh to Raheem, but with the same D-line coach and a lot of the same coaches on the defensive staff.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting thing to see. And we don't know for sure because of Raheem's background. I mean, he's obviously been with the 49ers before. He was also an offensive coach for a number of years under Kyle Shanahan. Then the last couple of years in Atlanta, they had Jeff Ulbrich as the defensive coordinator. And Jeff Ulbrich, as you know, Larry, was very much of a pressure man-to-man coordinator. So Raheem was exposed to a lot of that. Now, much of that is dependent on people. But just to take a step back, I think the Robert Saleh approach, and that's pretty defined in what Robert Saleh does. Robert Saleh's approach, which not a lot of people now do in the league, but Coach Saleh believes in it, and there have been times they've been very, very good with it, is that it's the wide nine. It's all based on your defensive line. You play a high percentage of zone coverage, and it's zone coverage with vision and landmarks. In other words, it's not a matchup type zone. It's vision and landmarks, which used to be in vogue in the league, all throughout the league. Now, a lot of the zone concepts, which emanate more from the Vic Fangio school, are much more based on matchup principles, even though the foundation is zone. So Robert Saleh was different from that in that he had his underneath defenders, you know, and Fred Warner was the absolute best in the league at it, where they pretty much drop to a landmark and sort of have a head on a swivel a little bit to see the routes, but they're not matching routes in terms of, you know, matching a receiver. So we'll see what Raheem wants to do.
All right. Yeah. That's really the extent of that. What do you, give me your thought on that? A lot there from Cosell.
Yeah. First off, it's 100% accurate, right? And you can make the argument that the classic zone, the landmark zone, if we're going to steal Cosell's terminology, which is extremely on point, as Greg Cosell so often is, it's not in vogue, to be sure, and it's probably not in vogue for a reason. Now, then if we're talking about the Fangio cover six matchup back end principle, is that maybe too trendy, right? To where now offenses have spent the entire offseason thinking about that proliferation and how many teams that they play that do cover six, cover eight, cover nine, and now they have the counters for those, to where maybe now a landmark zone even looks a little bit better because of the zag as opposed to the zig. This is where the pragmatism comes into play. And this is, you know, pragmatism without experience and without innovation, or at least creativity, is worthless. You know, you can be as pragmatic as you want. That means you're just chasing. You're always chasing. Oh, we'll do this new thing because we have to. And, you know, just got to get it done. Just got to get it done. But you're always just trying to put up another layer on the dam to keep the water out, as opposed to building a new trench to divert the water somewhere else. So I'm curious to see, because certainly with Ulbrich last year in Atlanta with Raheem there, they were doing some stuff that was extremely aggressive, necessary given their personnel and where that team was, and for the first 6-7 weeks of the season, exceptionally effective. And then a counter came in Kyle Shanahan going full gap scheme on them. They had no idea what was going on, and they never really recovered from that on a defensive end. And a lot of people will say, oh, that's because of injuries, but also sometimes a team hits you with, here's a game plan that's going to absolutely upend everything. Now it's on you to adjust from there. I didn't see that adjustment last year, at least with Atlanta, though, to be fair, I'm not watching it in the level of detail that I'm watching the Niners every week. But, you know, there was very fun conversations talking to folks after that Atlanta Niners game about that game plan, because they felt like it was such a silver bullet for what it was that Atlanta was doing and was going exceptionally well up until that point. It's going to be on Raheem not just to come up with new, interesting stuff, to make the most out of what he has, to be on the cutting edge or at least, trendy with stuff. It's also going to be on him to have counter punches to the punches that are going to come, because he's not a Sean McVay. He's not a Kyle Shanahan, even if Kyle's maybe a step behind Sean most of the time. He's definitely not a Vic Fangio, to where he's the guy setting the template for the rest of the league to follow. Or is he? Maybe this is his opportunity to do that. Maybe he can be a Steve Spagnuolo, to where he has his principles, but he always finds a new way to get those principles to be maximized. I don't really know, but I am excited to see something other than landmark zone, I would hope, from a 49ers defense, because Kyle Shanahan has made some bad defensive coordinator hires, 2 bad defensive coordinator hires on the principle of we play landmark zone with a wide 9. And for the first time, I think earnestly, because Steve Wilkes was still, you're going to play a bunch of zone on the back end. And certainly Nick Sorensen was, he didn't know anything else. So they were going to play that. Going then back to Saleh, where Saleh did have some interesting, wrinkles and aggressions and 5-man fronts and this guy's coming, this guy's going stuff. But then he abandoned it all and went right back to landmark zone. Raheem has a shot to kind of redefine how we imagine a 49ers defense to look, and I hope he takes the full advantage of it, because the book's been out on how to beat this defense for a long time. And at their highest, I think they were 27th in DVOA last year on defense. I mean, it's amazing they won a playoff game. Like, you can't win a title unless you're in the top 15, and frankly, you need to be a top 10. And there is a lot of that has to do with personnel. It's mostly personnel, but scheme has something to do with it too. And the scheme for the 49ers has run stale on that side of the ball, and they need something new and brash and bold, and frankly, something that's going to whop some teams upside the head, because they expected one thing and here comes another.
I like that, upside the head. I mean, it's a great phrase. No, what you made a lot of good points. I would say that the one thing that I think I find the most interesting about what's coming here in this training camp, and one of the textures or one of the comments was like, Krueger, just because he's the defensive coordinator doesn't mean he can do whatever he wants. But he can't. He kind of can. He kind of can. And this is what's so interesting.
In the same way Bob could.
I looked it up just now. Do you know the date that Raheem Morris was hired by the Niners?
No, I don't.
They hired him on February 1st. All right. So they had the Super Bowl was before the Super Bowl, but way, way late in the whole process. You're literally a week away or 2 weeks away from going to Indy for the combine, and you're right in the midst of, you got to watch all these players and you got to be, up to speed. And so, think about it. I mean, he comes into this organization for Robert Saleh, who, was very popular. He's not going to come in and Robert Saleh, even though the Niners were terrible in pass rush, he found a way to keep their head above water in a lot of contexts, in a lot of games with zero pass rush, like the worst pass rush in football. So I'm not the biggest Saleh fan, but I don't think like Raheem was coming in after a guy that like blatantly and obviously failed, and the fans wanted to run him out.
Right. No, that's fair.
And he's coming in to a situation where, it's late in the draft process, and then he's part of a group project. The Niners have scouts, and the Niners have personnel people and all kinds of opinions already. Heck, you heard from some of the guys, the Niner, top personnel guys, that they were on guys like in September that they wound up drafting. So, I mean, this process was way down the road before Raheem ever joined the mix. Mm-hmm. So how much say did he really have on the draft? How much he didn't have any say on obviously the previous drafts, of which there are many players left over. C.J. West, Alfred Collins, Mikael Williams, Nick Martin, Tatum Bethune, Malik Mustafa, Marquise Siegel, Upton Stout, Jair Brown. I mean, the entire defense basically was drafted before he got here. We have no idea how he feels about any of those guys or if it fits. So then he comes in, and I saw the way he interjected himself. I mean, he's a high-energy guy. He has favorites that he was rooting for, but it sounded like he kept it real positive, probably wasn't rocking the boat too much. And maybe they got some of his guys, and maybe they didn't get some of his guys.
Yeah.
And now here it is, and there's a little transition here because you've been deferring to maybe Lynch and the scouts and these guys while also having a say. But now it's like this is your freaking show.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's gone from the group project that you're a part of to this better freaking get us to the playoffs or you're going to be ripped, and he knows it because he's an NFL veteran and he understands the game. He understands that's what's coming. If you win, you're going to be praised. You're going to get hired. You're going to be a millionaire. And if you lose, you're going to get ripped and blamed and compared and shredded and eventually fired. So I think that's what makes this camp so interesting because this is the point. It's like the personnel department's carrying the baton to here. And now Raheem and his staff are taking that baton. And now they'll be responsible for how they run with it. And yet maybe they weren't totally responsible on how the previous legs of this race have gone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so now it's like their job to win the race with your guys. And at some point, Raheem, because he's been around the block, is going to find a way to get the guys that he wants in there. And if that means that he's got to have John trade somebody away, then they'll have somebody traded away. If that means somebody's going to get cut, I'm not saying he's going to walk in and say, I don't want Fred Warner.
Right.
That's not going to happen. But he may walk in and say, I don't want Alfred Collins. Or he may walk in and say, you know what? I love Mikael Williams, but I need something significantly more on this defensive line. He's an interior specialist rusher. I mean, we don't know what he's going to say, but he's going to like some guys. He's not going to like some guys. And to me, eventually, he's going to assert himself because it's his ass on the line.
Yeah.
And all defensive coordinators in the same position would do the exact same thing. So it's, I think this is the awesome storm clouds of NFL football that it's like, it's not as quite as hunky-dory, even though the Niners are have a lot of unity in their organization and they speak with one voice and they're a professional outfit. John Lynch is a pro. Kyle's a pro.
Right.
But this is volatile. And this is the head coach of the defense who inherited an awful lot of another guy's choices.
Right.
And I just think that somebody is going to get lopped or benched that we're not banking on. I'm not sure who it's going to be.
No, it might be more than one. And I think that the other aspect of that is that you have to think about this maybe not as a one-year deal, right? Because there have been so many one-year coordinators with the Niners that it's easy to sort of just think in one-year blocks. And of course, this year is the most important year. I'm not trying to diminish this or stretch it all out. But some of the decisions that are made in this training camp won't necessarily be fully manifested until next year, right? And thinking on that sort of, let's just think even 2-year time frame, right? Raheem's got 2 years. He could go in and absolutely crap the bed this year. Kyle's not firing him. He's not going 6-6 for 6 with coordinators. But there have been so many one-year coordinators that I do think you could view it on a larger window. It could be a little bit more macro. In the same way that Bob Saleh was trying to be a little bit more macro. I'm going to draft these guys. I'm going to bring them in. And then over the next couple of years, we're going to turn it into a new defense. And then he thought, I might not ever get a head coaching job again. I got to go. So Raheem ain't getting another head coaching job. It ain't happening. He might get interviewed, but he ain't getting one. No knock on the guy. He's great. He's had his shots. He has failed in them.
I mean, if the Niners win the Super Bowl and he gets 5 of their young players to all play above their head, and Nick Martin becomes an All-Pro, and I mean, a lot can happen with young talent.
Steve Spagnuolo hasn't been a head coach again either. No, I know,
but I'm just saying he's a young enough guy, and he's a good enough communicator with the players where I think there's a chance for him to be a head coach again. But he's going to need to win the bowl.
It's a slim chance, but let's just operate on the premise of like it ain't a thing. Whereas Robert Saleh, this is his last head coaching job in the NFL.
Yeah,
like it's Tennessee Titans or nothing. A defensive-minded coach ain't getting 3 bites of the apple here. Vic Fangio ain't getting a 3rd bite of the apple. So the idea is that he's got a little bit of leeway here, and so. If they come out and they're not playing, and we keep going to Alfred Collins because it is a legitimate question mark, but if Alfred Collins is healthy and he ain't playing, that tells us something that might not manifest this season, but will certainly manifest down the line. And then who is it that he likes more? And what positions is it that he's going into next offseason saying, okay, actually, I want to replace here, here, and here? Because it's not easy to clear house. It reminds me a lot of a college football coach pre-NIL, where you show up and it's, okay, I got this new recruit here. I got this, fifth year senior here. And you thought that this guy was going to start for your team, but I'm the new coach. This kid can't go anywhere because we lived in a different time, and he's just going to get buried down the depth chart because he ain't my type of guy. There's going to be stuff like that. It's going to show up, and I'm fascinated to see where it is because, frankly, there's not a level where it feels like everything is hunky-dory and solid, and Raheem Morris comes in and is immediately like, oh, well, we're good there. Like, no problems there. Let's just roll that out. That's one less thing I have to worry about. Secondary, got to worry about every aspect of that. Linebacker, sure, you got Fred Warner. Every other linebacker you have to worry about. And then defensive line, I mean, you're even worrying about Bosa. Not to say that they're not going to play him or anything, but does he fit what Raheem Morris wants to do? Can Raheem Morris do everything that he wants to do, or does he have to play a little bit to the skill sets that are already there? And then what's the give and take with that? How much can, if Nick Bosa is back to doing everything at the elite level, great run stopper, great pass rusher, does that allow Raheem Morris to flourish? And if he's one of those things doesn't show up post third ACL surgery, does that mess up all of Raheem Morris's plans? Is he the load-bearing wall of all this? It's fascinating stuff. The fact that they were doing so many 5-man fronts in OTAs and mini camps tells me that I think that there's a lot more jobs in jeopardy than before, because the one thing that you could count on outside of them just playing landmark zone, the one thing you can count on is they're going to go 4 up the front and play wide 9. And then I don't think they're going to do that universally this year. It will exist, but it's not going to be universal. No. And that fundamentally changes kind of everything, and probably good. I mean, there's a lot of young guys on the defense. Don't get me wrong. They should feel the pressure of making in the NFL. But, if I'm Renardo Green, I ain't feeling so hot. If I'm Diamador Lenore, I'm not feeling like big man on campus. I got to learn some new stuff. They might slide my ass back to nickel. Like,
Kyle's going to have to show some trust here, because if there's some bumps in the road in September, does he grip it and, or does he give Raheem the freedom to maybe make an addition, make a lineup change?
Did the fans give him that kind of grace? Because the entire point is to do the exact opposite of what the Niners defense did last year, which is by the end of the season, you're playing your best defense, right? And the offenses should be good enough. No guarantee, but should be good enough to carry you an entire regular season. And it can win you a playoff game, but it can't compete for a championship if there's no defense. And so this defense, a lot like we said last year, is going to have to build up. And in fact, the exact opposite happened with the defense last year, and injuries were a big part of it, but I think tactics were a big issue on it too, to where they were getting gashed. They were just getting absolutely gashed, and they played well against Philadelphia. We don't need to rehash my opinion on that, but like, this defense does need to build. If they go up and give up 40 points in week 1 in Australia, are fans going to have the stones to see this thing through, or is that first impression going to taint everything that happens from that point on, and Raheem Morris is just going to be the scapegoat from day one, and he never gets off of that schneid? I don't know. I'm fascinated to find out.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think he has enough street cred with Kyle to withstand the early storm, but there may be an early storm because there may be some guys who can't play. And bottom line is, Raheem likes to play fast and physical. He doesn't mind playing with some undersized guys. But he wants to play fast and physical. That's the priority. That's, so we'll see where, how it shakes out. I think the August is going to be juicy, and watching camp, because I really do believe that Raheem is kind of the head coach of the defense, and they've given him the personnel, but now it's his freaking show, and he's going to take over that thing. And he understands what the master plan is, but if the master plan doesn't work, who does he go to? Who does he favor? Who does he play? It's going to be really, really interesting. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do our prize picks lineup for today. We'll put Dieter and I in the corner, and we'll move our prize picks thing over here. Let me just click that. And what do we want to do for prize picks? Do we want to do baseball? Do we want to do futures NFL?
I can't see squat, Larry, so you got to tell me.
Okay, I think futures NFL is always good.
It's not up on the screen, my friend.
Yeah, no, I know. I had to make sure I had the right.
Take your time. Take your time.
Make sure I had the right page up before I put it up. And there we go.
I enjoy a good futures NFL.
There we go, little futures, and then I got to come over here and make one more adjustment to make the thing all look pretty.
Now
and
this is
that. You got to
get rid of Larry's face.
You got to move me out of the way, and bingo, bango, and like that. Woo!
Look at this professional
play. Look at that. Look at the way we've set this up. All right, we'll jump into our Prize Picks lineup for today. Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. The reason I like it, it is simple. You're just picking more or less on player stats or game outcomes. You build your lineup and you're in. No complicated stuff, just what you think is going to happen, period, in the game. Use code HMA, play $5, get $50 in lineups instantly. Link is in the description, and let's get right to it. Dieter, which of the do you like? Puka Nacua, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, Ashton Genty. Do you have a strong opinion on Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, JSN, Bijan Robinson? I can see Bijan having a good year. Jahmyr Gibbs. I like Jahmyr Gibbs to have a big year.
How about this? I see up here if you go to the very top again, Dak Prescott more than in effect 4,000 passing yards.
Right.
Dak Prescott had 4,500 passing yards last year. I see very little reason to believe that they won't be throwing more this year. I'm very bullish.
The only thing I would say about, have you seen him?
No, what's going on with him?
Dude, he's super jacked. So I don't know if that's
bad
good
news.
I don't know. But I mean, I don't want to say he's Mike Bibby jacked.
He might throw a football over Demdare Mountains. I don't know.
Dude, he's jacked. I mean, Dak Prescott is freaking really jacked. I saw a picture of him. I'm like, man, I hope this guy can throw.
It's not good when the first thing you just type in Dak Prescott and it immediately goes jacked. Yeah, he looks absolutely.
He's been throwing the weights around. I mean, he's like kind of reminds me of a younger Larry Krueger. Just
mercy me. That's
Cowboys under just went off in Vegas. I mean, it's just people are pounding the Vegas under.
I mean, good for him. I can't. I've always been more of a leaner fella. It's not true, but that is.
So what do you think? Is there anybody?
He looks like The Rock.
That is. He's really been spending some time. So we'll go more than 4,000 yards on Dak.
Yeah, sure. I am questioning everything off of these photos.
We'll just throw it in there. I'm going to go less on Derrick Henry. I just think.
Yeah, it's got to come to a crashing point. And
come on, this doesn't. He runs upright, but he's been taking hits, and they, come on. Eventually,
he had almost 1,600 rushing yards last year. That's hard to believe.
It's only, but 1251 is all he needs. But I like that less. I think there's some injuries there.
Yeah.
I also like this one a lot. Will Anderson, 11 and a half sacks goes over. I think Will Anderson probably gets 12, 13 sacks now.
How many did he have last year? Hold on.
See what he had. I think he had 13 or 14.
Yeah. The issue is that Daniel Hunter had 15 next to him. Will Anderson had 12 last year.
12. Oh, so it's under. Well, 11.2. If he has, I could see him having more.
Listen, you're never going to get me to not pick Will Anderson to be the defensive player of the year. So I like that bet going more on that. I like Ashton Genty to go more on the rushing yards as well.
Yeah,
I think it was 1,000.
Yeah.
Last year he averaged like 3.7 a carry.
Right. He's got a better O-line.
And he's got a better O-line this year. That's where I'm at. Yeah, let me pull this.
And maybe some passing game though. Did they trade Jacoby Myers to the Jags today?
Did they? Jeez Louise.
I heard that. I don't know if that's true. I never went and verified it.
I do. Well, he traded. Jacoby Myers got traded to the Jaguars mid-season last year. That was.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good player. He was their best receiver down the stretch.
Yeah, he is a hell of a receiver too. I mean, what a route runner Jacoby Myers is.
Really
That's
good.
right.
Really good.
All right, so this is what we'll go with. We'll go with our 4.
We're just going more. Oh well, not on Henry.
Now we're gonna go. We're gonna go.
This is the year. This is the year. Derrick Henry's been proving everyone wrong forever, but this is
So we're going Dak Prescott. He's got to throw for 4,000. Derrick Henry's got to rush for under 1250. Will Anderson's got to be at least 11.5 sacks. Ashton Genty's got to have 1,000 yards. If that all happens, our $5 turns into 50. Wow, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So thank you to Prize Picks for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show, and we'll move everybody back into their regular spots and
getting crouched.
Yes,
claustrophobic up in here.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, thank you to Prize Picks for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. A couple mentions as well. We have a brand new sponsor on the Krueger Show, and that is we're promoting West Coast Diesel's 10th annual event. It's Saturday, September 12th. Gates open at 10 a.m. Main activities go 10 to 9 p.m. Chris Beck Arena in Sonoma County at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds up there in Santa Rosa. It's the biggest diesel truck celebration in Sonoma County. They'll have tractor pulls, show and shines, dirt drags.
You ever been to a tractor pull there?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Loudest exhaust competition. Gates open at 10 a.m. Family-friendly environment. $30 general admission tickets for the show and shine entry. We should tell you. Kids 5 and under are free. Tickets are available now at both West Coast Diesel locations on Airway Drive and Sebastopol Road, or purchase at the event at the gate on event day. So it's the event, save the date, it's September 12th, 2026. The website is westcoastdiesels.com/pages/events. We'll talk more about it every day between now and the event. So thanks to them, West Coast Diesels, for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. Also, thank you to Novato Chevrolet, NovatoChevrolet.com. Go see Adam Rogers. Go see Miguel Lopez. I'm driving a Blazer right now, a Chevy Blazer, courtesy of Novato Chevrolet, family-owned dealership for 50 years. NovatoChevrolet.com. They're a great sponsor. And also thank you to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles, August 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. They'll have their Friday night trade night, and you can reach Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. All right. Back to the festivities. I wanted to read some of the comments because we had some comments that were pretty good.
Oh, boy.
Unbelievable. Well, I don't know if they're really good, but they're just some interesting ones. So we'll throw.
They can be okay.
We'll try some. We'll try some. Some are starred. Here we go. One's actually a super, maybe one or two. Michael says, who plays more games this year, Ricky Pearsall or Mike Evans? I'm going to say Mike Evans.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fair bet, isn't it? If Ricky Pearsall plays more games than Mike Evans, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the 49ers?
Well, what's a bad thing is if they both don't play as many games as Jordan Watkins.
Yeah, that would be a really bad thing.
Yeah.
I think
it's a concern though.
This is why you need the depth. They're not as good. The guys behind them are not as good, but they're better than you deserve. I mean, I don't know how to put that kindly, but like they're going to need the depth. Theoretically, they got good depth behind them. So yeah. I know that I think there was a headline today. Apologies. I've been trying to get off the internet about if the Niners had enough depth to compete at wide receiver. And I'm like, I feel a lot better about the Niners wide receivers than most. Now, we can talk in November and I might have a very different tune because
I think that whole thing was sprouted up in the last 24 hours because Deebo Samuel looks like he's in great shape and he's out there and he's coming off a good year. And
is he also Dak Prescott jacked?
No, he looked lean and he looked really in great shape. So all I would say is this: if Deebo is in great shape, I would bring him in if I were the Niners, I'd bring him in for some kind of a workout or send somebody over to his house, see what he looks like. And if he looks really, really good, I would sign him. Yeah. I mean, that's just really that simple. He's he can be a kick returner. He can be a running. I mean, he's just a versatile guy. And Kyle loves him. And it's always been about his weight. He's 30. He's coming off a year where he had 700 yards and 6 touchdowns and, played at a pretty high level. So if he's in great shape, I'm interested. because that guy in great shape is a player. But if he's in just okay shape, I'm probably not interested because I've got a bunch of guys here that can play. And that's just kind of how I feel. Let me jump to these other ones here. We got this one. Big Papa, Larry, I just bought a Krug Show t-shirt. Can't wait to strut it around Boston because since you went to Boston, Sox Yanks, Sox have gone 19-2 and now including 14 in a row. Larry, Magic, you need to save some for the Giants. Yeah, I can't help the Giants. I did watch the Giants tonight. Willie Adames giveth, Willie Adames taketh. You saw what happened where Willie Adames didn't cover second. Did you see that?
No, I don't watch the Giants anymore if I can help it.
I'm trying to quit. And whenever people ask me about something that I don't want to, hey, have you checked out the Valkyries? I'm like, hey, I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to quit.
I did not watch the Valkyries. I did not watch any of it. I read a book. Look at you. Tried.
Kyle McKiernan, friend of the show, says Giants average 9.3 wins per month since game 1. Buster sack up and be bold like Sabes and Coletti. Trade Webb, Arise, Ray, Roop, bring back 5 to 7 prospects and launch this team forward in 28, 29, and 30. I think Kyle McKiernan is a genius.
I think that Kyle is correct. I've written such in the San Jose Mercury News. I've said such on KMBR, which might be why I'm not getting many shifts lately, Lair. But in order,
you're too honest, dude. You're too honest.
Seriously,
it's like you might.
If I wasn't so damn right all the time, it's
seriously,
legitimately, it's very difficult.
Never gonna be on that morning show. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm not. Let's say I'm not.
One of the greatest moments in KMBR history was you saying this whole thing is a farce. I mean that. Dieter, with the Giants owner standing right there, said this whole thing is a farce.
Yeah,
it was so much the ballsy line of the year. I was seriously in my car. And I was just like, yes, fist in the air. That's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What are they going to do?
I wish I had the audio. This whole thing is a farce. Oh my God! It was epic. It was epic.
You don't even know the half of it, Lair. It's in order for them to have vision, they have to take their damn blinders off. You know the horses that got the blinders?
Yes.
And they're always just about how do we fool these idiots for another year? How do we keep bringing them back to the budget? Just how do we make them believe for one more year? And it's all they think about. It's all they care about. Just get to next year. We'll do it next year. Next year will be better. And it hasn't been. We're going on 10 out of 11 years where they've had one playoff berth. And the idea is, we'll just be mediocre and we can sell mediocrity because these fools will lap up anything. And if they were to go out and do the thing that is bold and fiscally difficult and all this stuff, that would be them admitting that they have just been treating the fan base like suckers for the last decade plus.
You just gave me the golden. I'm on Friday. You just gave me the golden topic. I'm even writing down golden topic by Dieter. Seriously, I'm writing on a piece of paper, golden topic by Dieter. Who has given up more, Giants fans or Giants owners?
Oh, interesting.
Don't you think? I mean, because there's the ownership is kind of like, we don't want to trade this guy. We don't want to trade that. Why?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Oh, heaven forbid we get rid of Logan Webb.
Under. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like Logan Webb, a guy, the 15th best pitcher in the National League. You can't trade. It's like
heaven forbid they get rid of anybody that someone would actually want to get.
Couldn't trade Blum, couldn't trade Rodon, couldn't trade Gosman, couldn't trade Snell.
Because then the charade would be over.
Because then
they
what
wouldn't
if,
be able
what
to
if
sell.
the attendance sinks in August and September? It's like, but then Giants fans have also given up because they're kind of like, we like Arise. He's entertaining. I love Jung-Hoo Lee. He entertains me. Well, it's like you sound like somebody who's given up, Giants fan, on winning.
Yeah.
And it's like I recognize it because I remember this was like the Warriors pre-Steph. Warrior fans had given up on winning. We were just happy. We got Larry Hughes. We're going to be all right. We'll be in the lottery. And it's like Giants fans have quit to some degree, but then on the other hands, they're not. They haven't quit. They're there. They're showing up. 38,000. They're going to draw 3 freaking million fans. Well, the Giants,
a lot of that's tourism, to be fair.
Yeah,
a lot of people visit in the city because I don't know if you found out, it's hot everywhere else.
Yeah, seriously, the weather's perfect. Kyle McKiernan says, at Larry, Dan Coach Amelia won $642 on two $10 bets in 2 days. Oh wow,
he's going to give it all back in the next 2.
Yeah, Danny, way to go, Danny. Way to go, Danny. I'm a big fan. Smith and Danny wants Devers out. Do you want Devers out? I'm fine with Devers. I'm fine with keeping Devers, even if he's out of shape, swinging through pitches, a shadow of what he was.
It's like it's such an easy. Do you want Devers in or out? No one would trade for him.
Right, you're gonna have to eat $150 freaking million.
So, like, conceptually, what I want, if there's someone who comes to me and says, "Hey, if you eat 50% of the Rafi Devers salary, and we give you nothing in return, would you let Devers go?" And I'd probably say, "Yeah, probably."
That's a real loss, though. You're just giving him up by saying, "Take the money." I mean, he's still gonna hit 30 bombs.
Yeah, well.
Whatever that means.
A lot of good that did.
Smith Corbin says, hello from Brisbane. Yeah. I will see you in Australia for week 1, Krug.
Yeah, are you going to go to Australia?
Fuck no. I'm not going to Australia.
Whoa. The fine folks of Australia whose relationship.
I love Australia. It just doesn't work for me this year.
On 180.
They used to
hate me in Australia. Now
I got a family member who's getting married in Thousand Oaks. Are
you going to the 3 Seasons in Woodland Hills?
I just, Thousand Oaks, California for a wedding.
A lot of time in Thousand Oaks.
Or do I, versus get 16-hour flight. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm going to let Lombardi do that, and I'll follow him. I can't do it.
It'll be on TV.
The game will be on TV. I can't commit.
I would love to go. I would also still like to be married come, September 10th.
It's like one of those things. I really, really, really like the Niners. Heck, I love the Niners.
Sure.
But I love my life more. And I don't want to go. I don't need to. I was freaking out on 5-hour flights to Boston. I can't 6-hour flights. I can't do 16 hours. There's no way.
Just do drugs. You should do drugs. Apparently they're really good.
I'm very claustrophobic. I think it would kick in somewhere around hour 10, and I'd start walking around, jumping up and down. I don't think it'd be.
You gotta sleep.
Yeah, but even then,
that's what I'm saying. Take a drug to go to sleep.
The whole. I can't do it.
Larry, I'm 6'9" and 300 pounds. Do you think I enjoy getting on airplanes?
Are you going?
No.
Yeah, of course not. Thank you. Porterhouse 11. Larry Linguini. Thank you. I don't know why.
That's fantastic. That's going to be stuck in my head for a month.
It's just, what can I say? Kyle McKiernan, 9.3 wins per month since game 1 this year. Giants baseball. Saw it the first time.
Nothing like it.
Kenny 49ers signed Jimmy Ward, Leonard Floyd, and Debo. Jimmy Ward? Is Jimmy Ward still going to play this year? Is he playing? Can he still play? Leonard Floyd, I definitely think if the Niners, wherever Raheem goes, Leonard Floyd shows up. So if the Niners don't get what they want out of Bosa, Mikel, if Kamara, Height, if they don't get, really, I could see Leonard Floyd definitely showing up, definitely, and Debo too. Debo too.
I can see both of them. Not auspicious signs if either of them show up, but I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. Brad Jones says, Dieter, love your Brock MVP take, but media members like Florio, Sims, Wright, and Cowherd will do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. No, I agree with, I don't know I didn't read your thing, but I've been saying for about a month now that I think Brock's a great MVP candidate. I think he's going to have his best year right now. He's going to go from good quarterback to great fantasy quarterback because of the weapons that he has. He's got weapons that he should be able to unleash downfield. It could be very, very explosive. There's There's a 5% chance that the Niner offense this year is just ridiculously good.
100%. It might even be higher than that.
Yeah, I would say 5% just because there's age, there's Kittle,
I'm with
the
you.
O-line
Listen,
struggles.
The
Purdy could get hurt.
combustibility factor is huge, too.
Evans is going into age 33, but so I'm going to put it down the list, but it is possible.
High ceiling, high floor, baby.
The Niners could score a lot of points and create a lot of space.
They scored a lot of points and made a lot of space last year, and their offense kind of sucked for a lot of the year. But down the stretch, man,
running it.
Down the stretch, you were watching him and you're like, man, Brock Purdy is ripping this thing. He was on fire down the stretch. And it is a narrative-based award. So while I don't disagree with Brad that there will be a lot of media members, I don't think that they can fight it this year because it's not. It's a lesser George Kittle. It's a lesser Christian McCaffrey. We know that Trent Williams doesn't carry the same weight that he used to. Maybe Deebo Samuel's there, but that's not like a knock at all on Brock Purdy. This is Brock Purdy's offense through and through. And it's not to say that there isn't talent there. It's just to say that there's not anyone else on that offense that's going to steal an MVP vote from Brock Purdy this time around. And in 2023, Christian McCaffrey stole a lot of MVP votes, or perhaps in reverse. Brock Purdy stole MVP votes from Christian McCaffrey, depending on your prerogative. So this is a narrative-based award. The 49ers are expected to finish third in their division. And if they turn out to be the cream of the crop in the NFC, which is not at all a ridiculous notion, seeing as they're probably the third best team in the NFC going into the year, at least as you were to power rank it, maybe fourth, I'd say third. I like them over the Bears. I like them over the Eagles. I like them over Cowboys or whomever. Lions, Packers. I'll take the Niners over all of them. I just wouldn't take them over the Rams and Seahawks right now. But if the Niners somehow get themselves 1 seed, 2 seed, well, couldn't really be 2 seed because 1 seed, 2 seed, it's gone really, really well because they won their division. But if they're, the best team or the second best team in the conference, it would be Brock Purdy having just an absolute ripper of an offensive year because we already have a lot of questions about the defense going into it. And what would be the thing that would limit it? Someone would have to play better than him. And I'm not sure anyone's going to play better than him. I'm really not. Narrative-based award. They can try to hold him down as much as they want. He damn near won the thing when he had Christian McCaffrey on his team. What happens when Christian McCaffrey, we all know, is not the same Christian McCaffrey from 3 years ago? 20-1 feels, it's not stealing money because there's, no guarantee any of this happens. Otherwise, it wouldn't be 20-1. But I like him a hell of a lot more than Stafford to go back to back. He's tied with Jaden Daniels for MVP. Who would you rather have your money on? Now, I do like a Trevor Lawrence at 22-1 as well, but I just Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, it's a narrative-based award. People like giving it to new stuff. And if Brock Purdy puts up the numbers I think Brock Purdy can put up, it's going to be very difficult to make an argument against him. And that's really what it comes down to when it's all said and done. How do you make the argument against him?
I think this receiver group has the potential to be very good. And if it's very good, Brock Purdy could be considered great. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like come this summer. Let's share the screen on Deebo real quick, and then we'll have a big finish.
Yeah.
I want to get a couple bold predictions from you. But here's Deebo doing his training. I guess episode 4. Well, we can watch 30
A
seconds.
New Hope.
I'm not sure. Yeah, here we go.
These days be hard.
What the fuck was that? I thought he was about to retire. I can't wake up and work out again. Can't do this.
I can't be doing this stuff.
I know I'm
I'm tired.
Yeah, I just keep waking up and it's like, what am I doing wrong? It's like, yeah, no, you're not doing anything wrong, Debo. Just weren't very, like.
Well,
get a call.
He's gonna play.
I appreciate that social media
all
approach as compared to his former teammates. But
all right, let's go. We have one big finish topic, but give me. Let's go with some bold predictions.
Oh boy. Okay.
Because here's the reality: there's a plan, and then somebody gets punched in the face.
Yeah.
And then you taste your own blood, and now the plan goes out the door. Yeah. And it's the same thing in the NFL. There's a plan, and then you lose blankety blank week 1. There's a plan, and then, this guy got old overnight. There's a plan, and, Mike Evans is awesome, and he looked amazing in the preseason, but the Niners have 5 turnovers in the first 7 games, forcing the ball to him in the red zone. Because everybody knows they're going to him, and it's like they can't disguise it.
Yeah.
Kittle is an awesome player, but he might not play until Christmas, or he could play week 1. So it's like there's a lot of unknowns, and they're not all going to be positive answers. There's going to be some adversity along the way, lots of it. So we know it's not going to go according to plan. It's kind of like predicting the 5-12 upset in the NCAA tournament. Right. It's like it's coming, and you just predict it even when you don't really believe in it because you're like, it's the 5-12. It always happens. And so give me the bold prediction. Either and it can be you're not putting a hex on somebody.
No.
They're going to get hurt, and this guy's
no, and I'm not even going that direction.
Guys get hurt. That's the way it goes.
I think DeJon Stribling is about to be an absolute monster. I think he not just hits the ground running, but is an immediate impact player. Looks polished. You would have no idea that he's a rookie. I got a great feeling about him, and have heard nothing but glowing things from people who don't necessarily hand out that kind of praise. So I think that Stribling, no matter what happens at the other position, I think Stribling's on the field early, and I think he gets more and more and more reps to where now it's, now he's at Z. Oh, now he's at X, and he's not just a third down guy. I think Stribling is going to be like a super hipster rookie of the year pick for somebody come the end of the season.
Dude, he was great. He was great last year at Ole Miss. He was great in the playoffs for Trinidad Chambliss. Chambliss is an ordinary prospect, but a lot of people think he's going to be a great.
I kind of dig him, but I wouldn't call Chambliss great, but I dig him.
He's 6 feet. He does, he runs around, but I think Chambliss was made to look better by Stribling. I thought Stribling's ball skills last year down the field were big.
Makes it look effortless, man. And that's the kind of stuff that really translates at the NFL level. The guys who just make it smooth. I love a smooth player. This guy's smooth. He's big. He's smooth. He makes it look effortless. I think that it's just going to be
bold.
Easy stuff.
That's bold because rookie receivers in the NFL don't do it.
I know. That's what makes it bold. I think any other team, everyone will be all excited about him. But I think most Niners fans are right to be like, we'll see what happens next year. But I think he just hits the ground running.
No, I like that one. I think that's a good call. I'm going to go with Kalen Black as the 49ers leading rusher.
There's a lot of tentacles to that, but I can pick up what you're laying down.
I mean, you're talking about 400 plus touches for McCaffrey. The last 2 times he's had that kind of touch territory. The next year he's played 3 games, 4 games, 2 different years like that. And Kalen Black is a man. He can run, he can catch, he can block. He's explosive. He can do a lot of great things. And he's like one of those guys. He's like a for real guy. Like some guys are just like, they're great, they're speedy and this and that, but they're not for real. This is like a for real guy. So I like him a lot. I think he's going to be the leading rusher for the Niners.
I do have some questions about that in the sense of it does seem as if they want to make Jordan James a bell cow if Christian McCaffrey is out.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to see how that all plays out. Whereas Black, I think, has a role from day one and maintains that role. And if next to McCaffrey, right, is kind of the change of pace back, third down sort of guy, short yardage guy, in a role that, frankly, B-Rob couldn't fill last year. I think he fills that role and he fills it well. But then if McCaffrey goes down, I think they want James out of the backfield so that they maintain Black in that role. But I could be wrong about that, and we'll see how it all pans out.
Bold prediction number 2. Do you have a second one? Because I have one other one that I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I think.
And when you make bold predictions, by the way, you're going to be wrong.
Well, no, not me. So yeah, no. The 49ers starting safety. One of the 49ers starting safeties is not currently in week 1 is not currently on their roster.
Wow.
I think that they make a trade in camp for a starting safety.
Okay. I'm going to go with one. This is a big one. But I think at some point this year, Oso Digizua starts inside with James Thompson Jr.
Oh, okay.
That Thompson's the strength and Odighizua's the speed. And I think Collins has had injuries. West had some bad weight. Grayson Dalton, I think, is a pass rusher who plays on, he's more of a pass rusher. Anderson, I don't think fits. Valdez is a pass rusher. Eason, I really like as well. A lot. But James Thompson's strength at the point is so real that, and so significant that I think somehow Odighizuwa, we expect to start at defensive tackle, but James Thompson Jr., we would not expect to start at defensive tackle, and I think he will.
It's bold. It's bold. I like Thompson a lot. Maybe he starts at left tackle at some point this season because, again, you watch him out there and you're like, that's an offensive lineman.
Okay, yeah, he's not a lot of movement. He's more of he's really, really strong, though. And when you're the strongest guy on a line, man, it's amazing. The strongest guys on the line always last in this league.
No question.
DJ Jones, Poona Ford. He was a bust for the Niners, but he played a long time in the NFL. Ted Washington.
Good call.
Jerry Ball going way, way back. I mean, Gilbert Brown. These guys play a long time in the NFL. They're the strongest guys, and that's what Thompson is. He's among the strongest guys.
Yep.
I think that it's a wild stab, but I'm going to go with that one. The other one I feel really good about is that I think Larry Worth III is going to have a role that's really significant because I've watched his Arkansas film and I love everything about that kid. I love the way he moves. I love how versatile he was. They lined him up in the slot. They lined him up over the tight end. They mugged him up in the A gap as a blitzer. Mm-hmm. They had him literally in like the deep middle, like free safety. I mean, the guy can play all over the field, and he had 37.5-inch vertical and 11.2 on the broad jump. It would have tied Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles went in the top 10.
Yeah.
This is generic Sonny Styles. Like mom couldn't get, the real stuff. So she got generic Sonny Styles. That's what Larry Worth is. He's generic Sonny Styles. And I think Larry Worth is going to be a player.
I do think that I do think that Larry Worth is going to make life interesting and difficult for the 49ers in terms of how do we get him on the practice squad. And I think that they're going to have a hard time figuring out how to keep him around. I guess the plus side is when they play him from scrimmage in the preseason, and I imagine he'll play a lot from scrimmage in the preseason. He's so raw. He'll be so raw that I don't know if there's going to be teams knocking down the door. They might be able to get him through, putting him up at the Hilton for a night. We'll see. I'm fascinated by the linebacker situation. Pretty much everything on defense is fascinating going into camp, which is both a great and not so great thing for the San Francisco 49ers.
Last topic, and we'll finish with this. Vic Tafur listed Nick Bosa as the player on the 49ers with the most approved this season. He says Bosa's coming off his third knee surgery, his second ACL to the same knee, and is being asked to carry the 49ers pass rush while mentoring Mikael Williams, Romello Height. It seems like the 49ers will still add a veteran edge player to help Bosa after Bryce Huff suddenly retired. The return of Bosa, linebacker Fred Warner, George Kittle from injuries is a big reason this team has Super Bowl aspirations. Bosa turns 29 in October. He's also going to need a new contract after this season, as the 5-year deal he signed in 23 has a $54.9 million salary cap hit in 2027. So they're cutting him for sure. If Bosa can show that he's still one of the best speed to power rushers in the NFL, the Niners will be in for a successful season and Bosa in for another huge payday. I think he did a nice job kind of crystallizing that whole situation.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? Do you agree with Vic that Bosa is the player with the most to prove this season? And what do you think of his idea? And if you don't agree, who is?
No, I don't think that he's the player with the most to prove. I do agree with the idea that he's a big domino for this entire defense. And we talked about that earlier. Like, if Bosa isn't that guy, how many of Raheem Morris's ideals going into the season fundamentally change? Like, that's a big deal. But I'm not sure if we're phrasing it as most to prove, that it doesn't feel like Nick Bosa is in that conversation, as opposed to, I mean, do we have enough time to list all the people with a lot to prove? Ricky Pearsall comes to mind first and foremost. He's got a lot to prove this year. This is a make or break. Nick Martin. I mean, Alfred Collins, a lot of year 2 guys have to prove something.
Bernardo.
In a strange, don't even start me on Bernardo. In a strange way, this is kind of a big prove it year for a Brock Purdy, even, right? Sure. It's your team now, baby. How good are you? Are you MVP good, or are you, I need a little something around me good? And there's a difference there. There's a huge difference there. It's not to say you're not a great quarterback if you need a little something around you, but like, are we, you getting a trophy or 2 at the end of the year, or are you going home trophyless? Nick Bosa, I don't know, has a lot. I don't like that terminology of has a lot to prove. I think Nick Bosa is vital to the 49ers' success this year. But if he has a lot to prove, then George Kittle has just as much to prove, if not more, for the 49ers this year. And that's just not how I would phrase it. It's maybe a semantical argument, but that's where I stand.
Yeah. I mean, Ricky Pearsall is a first-round pick. It's time for him to play and produce.
Yeah, it's a 5th-year option year.
I would say he's got a lot to prove. Other than that, who's got a lot to prove? I mean, maybe Dre Greenlaw coming back. He's got a lot to prove. I do agree, though, all those second-year players, Collins, West, Williams, Stout, a lot of these guys have have a lot to prove. Yeah. That's kind of one of the exciting parts about the 49er roster, is that there are 57 players with the arrow pointing up, and there's a lot of young guys who are ascending, that we had never even talked about. Jacob Robinson and Sebastian Valdez, and there's guys that are getting better. Now, we don't know how much better they're going to get. Maybe 1 or 2 of them get so much better that they improve and make the team. So you do see that guys do get better,
especially too in a year where you got a new defensive coordinator. Jacob Robinson could come in, and Raheem Morris is like, I love this guy. This is my guy. Wouldn't shock me in the least bit. You mentioned it. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Now, there's going to be not just 1, 3, 4, 5 shocks, because Raheem Morris views it much differently than certainly Bob Saleh viewed it, and Bob Saleh's imprints are still all over this roster. So excited to see how that all hashes out, for better or for worse.
Yeah. I mean, Jack Jones, I got to think, is probably a Raheem guy, where Renardo may not be. So, I mean, something as simple as that. I think most people would say Renardo's the better player. But we'll see. We'll see in the eyes of Raheem.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all of you. Dieter, when do we see you next? When do you appear?
I'll be on with Hutch at some point. Come hang out with us at the Dieter and Hutch show. We'll be doing it. Jake's coming back tomorrow. I think we'll probably do a show on Wednesday and get back into it, man, because once it starts, it don't stop. Don't stop until it stops.
Sunday, you'll be at camp, maybe?
I'll be there. I'll be there this weekend. What is it? We got a little Kyle and John coming in.
I think it's Sunday is the first practice.
Yeah,
Saturday. I don't know if Saturday's anything.
I'll be at the practice. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you down there. It's going to be good. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Dieter. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great night. Thanks for supporting the Krueger Show. Like and subscribe on your way out the door.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you